All right. Got my brother Shannon, Ritch. 151 professional mixed martial arts fights on record. You told me there's more off the record. 43 kickboxing fights. 29 bare-knuckle boxing fights, professional bare-knuckle fights. BKFC, international heavyweight, bare-knuckle fighting championship. Okay. Shannon Ritch is a mixed martial arts boxer, grappler, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, professional wrestler, and kickboxer. In mixed martial arts competition, he is the former king of the cage, middleweight champion, and current, like I said before, bare-knuckle fighting center, BKFC international heavyweight champion in bare-knuckle boxing. A professional competitor since 1998, Shannon has competed for M1 Global, Combat Americas, MFC, Start Fight, Pancrase, K1, bare-knuckle fighting, Pride, Rebel Fighting Championship, King of the Cage, Gladiator Challenge, and WEC. And you're even an avid golf player, winning many state championships.
Yeah. Veteran.
So
Army veteran.
What's that?
Also Army veteran.
Army veteran.
Yep.
And I'd love to hear more about your story. I've just seen you over the years.
I was also a mercenary in Iraq.
Yeah, so I'm gonna ask you all about that. So how did you? Where are you from originally?
I'm from Coolidge, Arizona, which is a small town just south of Phoenix, downtown Phoenix. So little itty bitty town. We had 3 stoplights growing up, out in the middle of the cotton fields, working with all the Mexicans. So a little white boy out there with the Mexicans, man, it was crazy.
So, but both your parents are Caucasian?
No, my dad's Native American, my mom's Irish. So I'm Sangre Indio. So shout out there. Yeah, interesting.
There's a lot of good American Indian fighters, right? Especially from the Southwest.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody, man, even, it doesn't matter what race you are, but if you're from a small town, I think those guys are the toughest guys around, Small town guys got something to prove.
Man, that's crazy. When I think about your history, I mean, when I started to look at your list of accomplishments, you sent me a picture of the amount, the people with the highest amounts of fights, right? And you're second in line, right, with the most amounts on record, at least, right?
Yeah, it goes
all-time pro MMA bouts.
Yeah, Travis Fulton, myself, Dan Severin, Jeremy Horn, then Ishawa, I believe.
Right. So the fights that I knew about the most, I always thought of Jeremy Horn and of course and Dan Severin, because Jeremy Horn fought in the UFC for a lot of years.
Right.
And Travis Fulton, 321 fights, and you have on record 155 fights. This is crazy. It's crazy. And now you're fighting bare knuckle. You're the current heavyweight champ, huh?
Right. International super fight champion. Yeah, man. I love to fight, dude. I'll fight anybody, anywhere, anytime. That's been my mantra. I'm not always gonna win, but at least I'll get out there and give it a go.
Yeah, I mean that's how I've known you. You're always the guy that's ready to go whenever, wherever, pretty much.
Anyone, anywhere, anytime. But you know what, hey man, I'm getting ready to hit that halfway century mark. Getting ready to be 50 years old.
Oh my God.
Not bad for 50, I'll tell you, man. So anyway, yeah, man. I saw that you had Carlos Machado on your podcast, and that's my coach. Being a 4th degree black belt under Carlos, my hat goes off to him, because if it wasn't for him, obviously I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And obviously your background, Mr. Triangle, yourself. Man, I used to always love watching you fight, man. You catch guys in triangles all the time.
Yeah, I was a jiu-jitsu representative for sure. That was always in my heart, and I always tried to, just the times that I was fighting at, right? I was representing something, right? And I always felt like I was representing jiu-jitsu. Yeah,
I always felt you left before you were prime. You know what I mean? I felt like you still had a lot left to give. Maybe go in there and run for a UFC belt.
Yeah.
But what happened there? What did you retire?
Actually, what happened was I didn't clear my last medical, which was about I think 9 years ago now. About 9 years ago, or less, maybe 8 years ago. I always forget the years, But I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis.
Oh my God! All right.
Yeah, so they found these lesions in my brain, and so I was ready to keep going. I was ready to fight internationally, where I get sanctioned, but I think my wife would have killed me. And it's all good. It's all good. I had some amazing times. Like yourself, like you fought all over the world, Russia, China. So for me, you know, I got a chance to fight around the world, you know, in UFC and all that, you know, so it's all good, you know, it's all good.
Where was your favorite place to fight?
Man, I have to say, you know, if I was going to go out, you know, go out in the sunset, you know, it was my last fight. I fought in the south of France, right on the Mediterranean, in a bullfighting arena that real gladiators used to fight at, you know.
Nice, that's
And
awesome,
so
man.
I went out in the tunnel. The you know, the guys taking me out were in gladiator gear, you know, and you know, that was the way, you know. And so
I hope you got some pictures of that.
Yeah.
You gotta send me some of those. I like to see those pictures. Yeah.
I did.
That's awesome.
I did. Yeah, man. So yeah, man, it's great. I can't believe, man, you're still fighting bare-knuckle fighting.
Yeah, I'll still fight MMA, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu. I mean, you name it, I'm gonna be there. I don't care. I just like to compete.
Yeah. So I want to. Where do you think that resilience comes from? Just that toughness.
I mean, you know,
hard head.
obviously being a small town kid, man. You know, always being such a small town, you grow up and you just got to be tough. You know, in a big city, I think you get lost in the mix. But in a small town, everybody knows you. I mean, and you're there, so it's like you're an easy target. And being a small kid, being white, you can't hide. So you can't hide in a crowd. You're there.
Yeah, but man, for you to fight, like, I mean, as many fights as you fought, you know, hundreds and hundreds, you know, I mean, I'm counting, it's probably about 400 fights all the stuff you're talking about, you know, after all these years, you know, like, that's something special.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
That's something special, you know, that's different. That's very different. So how are you able to handle this?
You know, how do I handle it? Well, you know, obviously I didn't take a lot of punishment. I was that guy that get in a fight, I tap out. So if it got going hard, you know, I can't lie about it. I'll let you know. If I was getting my ass kicked, then I'll tap. You know, save it for another day.
And you're able to keep that going. Yeah, I remember.
Keep it going. Yeah, keep it going. Never take that much punishment. I think that's the key to it. You know, don't get beat up in sparring, and don't get beat up in the fight. Then you can have a long career.
I see. I hear you.
But you know, you can't just go out there and lose every time. You gotta have something where the crowd wants you to come back, or the promoter wants you to come back. You gotta put on a show. I mean, you know, obviously I didn't win every time, but I'll tell you what, man, I come out red, white, and blue, my top hat, the mohawk, and I'll put on a fight, put on a crowd. Dude, shooting on. I made it a spectacle. Let's put it that way. I put on a show.
We never knew what Shannon Ritch was going to show up, you know.
That's right.
We never knew. Right. You know, we even brought you out to Santa Fe for one of the promotions, you know. And he fought one of my guys, and we never knew what Shannon Ritch was going to show up. And you actually armbarred he's a grappler, jiu-jitsu guy. You actually armbarred.
Right. Yeah, and, I got the win.
Yeah, and we never knew. So, you know, but it's like, it blows my mind, man. Your history, your journey. You know, I mean, I'll ask you about. I didn't even fighting in Russia, fighting in China. What was your favorite place to fight in? Because you have fought all.
Dude, man, hands down, had to be fighting the main event, Pride 11 against Sakuraba. I mean, so at the time, Sakuraba was the most feared guy in the planet. He was the #1 guy. He had just beat 5 of the Gracies. Nobody wanted to fight him. I get a phone call on my birthday, September 27th. When was it? 1999.
Yeah.
And Don Fry said, "Hey, you want to fight Sakuraba?" He goes, "Hey, kid, you want to fight Sakuraba?" I go, "Yeah, of course." So in my locker room, dude, there was Vanderlei Silva. There was Big Cat Tom Erickson, Big Daddy Goodrich. I mean, these guys were all on the undercard, and that was the main event. So, I mean, obviously, that was my best highlight of ever. Fighting in Japan, dude. Japan's the crowd, the fans, they know how to treat a guy, man. I'll tell you that.
And just the time too, right? The history of the sport.
Absolutely, man. Pride 11, you know, is still brand new in that era. I mean, yeah, man, it
was like
just
a Super Bowl.
exploded.
It was like the Super Bowl.
Absolutely, the Super Bowl or the World Series of MMA. Absolutely.
Yeah. Who'd you bring out for your corner?
For Sakuraba, I brought out Todd Handel and Mike Radnoff. And then one special guy, his name was Fujita. And Fujita was in my corner. So it was kind of cool. Yeah, it was kind of cool having a Japanese guy. We're all representing Tap Out. Big shout out to Darren Caldwell and Tap Out. They took really good care of me. Mask, obviously ripped to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Tap Out for life.
You know, so you grew up in a small town. Going back to your history, you know, how did you get going in martial arts? How did that journey begin?
When I was around 10 years old, I started doing traditional karate, and you know, I had been getting picked on and bullied in school, and I figured I'd do karate, and it turned out that was just a big waste of time until I figured out Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu. But it gave me something. And, you know, I started wrestling, and I had parents that would never let me fight. So I would just be that kid to get picked on. And finally it just built up enough. By like my senior year in high school, I started fighting back. And that's when I realized, hey, I'm going to be a fighter. So, yeah, man, you know, I started training when I was 10, and I'm 50 now. So 40 years I've been on the mat training. And I figured just about now I finally got it.
When did you wrestle? Did you wrestle in high school? Did you wrestle?
I did. Yeah, I wrestled all through junior high and high school. And, yeah, man, wrestling is obviously a big part of my life. And it was the foundation of my mixed martial arts.
Yeah. You started striking, you started boxing, you started karate first, right?
Yeah.
What was the evolution of your striking?
Obviously karate was not really good. I don't think I really learned how to do striking until I met with this guy named Michael Buell, who was the first US WSF lightweight champion. He was the first guy to go to Abu Dhabi. He was also from a small town. I want to say El Paso. I think he was from El Paso, Texas. Little redheaded freckled kid getting picked on. So he boxed in the Army, and he became my coach. And that's who actually taught me how to box.
Okay. And then that was you did boxing after karate?
Yeah. And wrestling, obviously wrestling. Man, I talk about training. You know, in Arizona it's 115, 116, 118, 120. It's hot. And I used to drive to Michael Buell's house on my bicycle. I'd ride like 10 miles on my bike, train, and then 10 miles back in the heat. And I just don't think people are putting in that kind of time and dedication now. And I mean, that'll make you hard. That'll give you, that shows your heart. And stuff like that, and your dedication.
I mean, the pace that you fought at, it seemed like you were fighting every weekend.
Yeah, man, I fight every weekend because, you know, at the time I'd say I'm a professional MMA fighter. And literally, that's how I made a living. That's how I paid rent. That's how I bought food, put gas in my cars. I fought, you know, $500 at a time. And there's a lot of guys, you know, they say they're a pro fighter. Even in the UFC, they say they're a professional MMA fighter, yet they work at Home Depot, they work at Lowe's, they work at, you know, grocery stores, selling cars. They're part-time fighters. They're not full-time. I was a full-time fighter. You know, I'd fight Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sometimes I'd fight 6-7 times in a week. I do tournaments, you know, the tournament style, you know, we fight 3-4 times a night. So, yeah, man. Those days are long gone.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I can't even wrap my head around that, you know, like people fight, but you said you didn't take damage, right? You didn't take damage?
No, try not to.
I mean, back in those days, like we weren't getting paid, like we're getting paid a few $100, right?
Yeah, gas money, literally, man. I remember driving cross country, fighting a professional fight for Extreme Challenge. Monty Cox, I mean, you talk about Jeremy Horn, he was on the card.
Right.
Matt Hughes was on the card. Dennis Hallman was on the card. Laverne Clark, dude, Pat Miletich. All these guys were superstars, and they, you know, $500 maybe. And that's if you won. You got to win the tournament.
Right.
It was crazy.
I remember those days. It was crazy.
Extreme Challenge, yeah. Got a lot of shows there, and then obviously going to Hawaii, fighting out in Super Brawl, fighting out in Super Brawls in Hawaii. Give those guys a shout out, man. I mean, there was a lot of shows. You got to remember, the UFC was on. It was blacked out, man. So they were like pretty much the UFC was underground, and if it wasn't for these smaller shows, MMA would have died.
Yeah.
At the time, it was NHB, no holds barred, no rounds, no weight classes, no gloves, bare-knuckle. So, and you know what's funny is those fights are the ones I was talking about. I've been fighting since '91, and none of those fights are on record with Shirt-Off.
Right.
Not until 1998 is my first fight on Shirt-Off. But dude, I had 50-something fights prior to that. So, it is what it is. It's a lot of guys that started this sport. They were pioneers of the sport, and they got burned. You know, they're not. Their fights aren't on record for the people to see. You know, there's believe me, man, when the UFC was darked out and nobody was watching, John McCain was trying to arrest people for putting in shows. Celebrity Theater, UFC, Rage in a Cage here in Arizona. Without the smaller shows still going and all these young guys fighting, MMA would have died. But, you know, my hat's off to all these guys that were out there fighting, and you know, they're tough. And it wasn't for them, MMA would have died. You know, we wouldn't have the Conor McGregors today. You know, we wouldn't have the Khabibs.
My hat's off to you, because you're one of those guys that was in those important times. Same thing for, you know, when I look back at those times, you know, if it weren't for these smaller shows, I wouldn't have ever, you know, continued. But I never really believed, I guess, that it would get there. But it was you guys, you know, I fought at the beginning too for a few $100, but I never really believed, you know, that it would turn into something like the UFC, like a mainstream sport like it is today.
Well, I always knew that someday MMA would take off and be a household name. I mean, you got to remember, man, back in the early 90s, you told somebody you're an MMA fighter, they looked at you like you're crazy. You tell me fight in a cage, they look at you like you're nuts. And then now, let's fast forward it 30 years, 25 years. Dude, everyone knows an MMA fighter. Everybody is an MMA fighter. You talk to people now, it's like, yeah, I train MMA. I train UFC. I'm like, really, you train UFC? It's kind of funny. But, yeah, man, MMA and UFC, it's mainstream. Everybody knows it. I mean, heck, even Donald Trump is a fan of MMA. You know what I mean? Yeah. Tito Ortiz, I think, is the one who brought him introduction to the UFC. And, I mean, Trump's a fan. I mean, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah. What brought you? How did you get your first MMA fight?
Wow, man. Okay, well, my first NHB fight, I was fighting in the Plaza de Toros in Nogales, Mexico. I was going to college at the time, and I'd go down to Mexico, and it was they'd have the chicken fights, they'd have the dog fights, and the people would fight. And by the time the people would fight, everyone's drunk. And literally, man, I'm in tennis shoes or wrestling shoes and spandex, and you go out and you fight these guys. They were Mexican boxers, literally. That's all they knew how to do is box. I shoot a double leg, get behind him, rear choke, it was over. And, I mean, I was making $500 a pop, and that's kind of how I put myself in college. Did that. And then my first real MMA fight sanctioned was Super Brawl. I went out and fought, and Dan Severn and Becky Levi are actually the ones who got me that fight. So once for Dan Severn, I don't think I would have had my first professional MMA fight, fighting in the Blaisdell Arena in front of 10,000 people. That was ridiculous.
Where did you meet Dan Severn?
I knew Dan Severn because, you know, he was a coach at ASU, and had a lot of ASU friends, and I was wrestling at ASU with going in there to the practices and stuff. And then a buddy of mine named Joe Joe, and he was friends with Becky Levi, and Becky Levi was actually a manager, co-trainer with Dan Severn, and they needed a guy my weight for a tournament, and Dan threw my name out there.
Yeah, those even the MMA fights, you know, they were like a networking thing, right? For guys from other guys that had fought in other events, and then you became friends with other fighters, and then they would a lot of times get you on.
Man, not only that, I ended up fighting Dan Severn twice. I mean, so I mean, the place is crazy. You know, I had put it this way. You know, I fought Frank Shamrock. Frank Shamrock cornered me. I fought Dan Severn. He's cornered me. I know Travis Fulton for years. We ended up becoming fighters. You know, we fought each other. It's like a lot of people. And then even my coach, Michael Buell, ended up fighting him in Super Brawl in his hometown. Yeah, man, it's crazy. So, I mean, it's a small world. I think you and I would have fought each other if it would have came out right. You know what I mean? Eventually, yeah. Ended up fighting Diego Sanchez. Him and I are friends. I mean, it's really weird, man. You fight. You're in the sport long enough, you end up fighting your friends.
What keeps you going after all these years? What keeps you going? You're still fighting.
Well, obviously, I like the money, but you know what? The fans, man. I do it for the fans. I do it for them to announce my name. You know, like, again, coming from a small town, being bullied my whole life, it's like I always got something to prove, and it's like I need that validation that I am somebody. And so when people call my name, Shannon the Cannon, you know, it just does something inside me, man. I get pumped up, and I'm not gonna lie, man. I like it, man. I don't drink, I don't do drugs, and that is my drug, man. I'm addicted to it. Man. They're you know, I watched a long time ago, these people were charging for autographs. I never have done that. What I do is if there's a fan, a little kid, I'll go out in the audience, I'll give them a trading card. I'll go out and sign autographs. So, you know, I do sell my t-shirts, but I have given them away. I'm just trying to make fans. And you know what? Those guys are the ones that will come watch me fight. They'll pay their hard-earned money to come watch me fight and cheer me on. Am I going to win? You know, who knows, man? Win or lose. Again, I'm there to put on a show for the crowd.
Yeah, you're grateful. You're grateful. giving back to I think all the guys that have been, like the early guys, you know, it's the fans that kept everything going, right?
Oh, absolutely, hands down.
Yeah. So who like you? I was gonna ask you. What was you fought in Japan. You did all these international fights. What's a crazy moment in the U.S.? You know, fighting in the U.S. You fought in all the events, King of the Cages and Rage in the Cages, probably everything in between.
Man, in the U.S. there was one we fought Extreme Challenge 31, I believe, and the after party, we're in this little teeny tiny bar in Hayward, Wisconsin, and nothing but cowboys. And here you come in with the guys from the Shark Tank from LA, and everybody's in mohawks and colored hair, and you got guys, all crazy. And one fight led to another, and the whole bar turned into like Roadhouse. Next thing you know, you got all these MMA fighters choking out, rear chokes, arm bars, all the locals. That was pretty interesting. In the States, not too many crazy stories, but fighting in Burma and Myanmar, fighting in Thailand, fighting in Russia.
Tell me about Myanmar.
Myanmar, okay. So fighting in Myanmar, doing Lethwei, it's bare-knuckle kickboxing with headbutts and takedowns. You literally got to knock the guy out 5 times in the fight for it to be a win. And yeah, man, that was just weird, crazy, because the embassy had the Marines there to make sure that there were no riots, this and that, and they were telling us, hey, if you guys get out of hand, the crowd turns on you, we're gonna get you out. And obviously, after my fight, Doug Evans fought. Doug Evans took a shot to the groin, and the crowd started throwing everything they could into the cage, into the ring, and the Marines had to escort us into the back dressing room, and that was pretty hairy, man. 20,000 Burmese fans turning on 4 Americans. So that was pretty wild. Another time we went to Romania, Team USA, me, Mike Buell, Steve Sage, Rick the Jet Rufus, and we went out there, and Romania was pretty nuts too, man. Those guys, ridiculous.
Yes. Wow, that's crazy.
Ridiculous.
Weren't you worried? Did you have fear going to any of these crazy events?
Man, I have the most anxiety you've ever heard of. Are you kidding me, man? I've got PTSD. I got anxiety. I was the type of guy that was afraid to leave the hotel. But, I'm with good people, and I knew they would take care of me. So it's obviously good to know you have good friends, and people are going to take care of you. And I wasn't really scared. It was something that was on my own head. I had to get out of my own head.
Well, what did you have? What did you have anxiety about?
Oh, man, dude, I got anxiety with just ridiculous stuff, man. It's stuff that doesn't even make sense. I get anxiety where I start thinking about I can't breathe, and then so I need to use some nasal spray to open my nose. My nose has been broken so many times. So if it just gets to a point where I sniff and I can't breathe, then I panic. I start freaking out. Just ridiculous. If somebody's on top of me and they're choking the shit out of me, I get claustrophobic, and it's really hard for me to deal with that. Man, I've been so many times fighting, and my wife has been my corner man. I took my wife, and she calms me down to create the calmness that I need. And obviously having somebody in your corner that you trust. So yeah, my wife has been in my corner, but at least 5 world title fights. So
wow.
And I'm sure that a lot of fighters deal with this. A lot of guys are going to talk about it, but I'm pretty honest. I'll tell you about it, man. It's an emotional ride. I don't care if you're the best fighter in the world. There's some nervousness going into a fight, and if you're not nervous, I think you're lying, because everybody gets nervous. I've done it 200 times, and I still get nervous. Still get the butterflies, and it's just something you got to overcome yourself.
What makes you overcome that?
Like I said, having somebody that you trust, somebody that can talk you through, talk you over the edge, talk you off the ledge, more or less. I've been in fights where, big fights like in Japan, getting ready to fight Yuki Kondo and Pancrase. I had to walk out of the venue and get fresh air because I was claustrophobic inside the arena, and literally told my manager at the time, I'm not going to fight. I said, I'm done. I'm going home. And then I had to talk myself and calm myself down and go back in there and fight. So it's ridiculous, It's crazy, man.
People think that you're fearless. I mean, looking at your record, I'd be like, this guy, he doesn't.
Oh, I fear no man. It's myself I have to overcome. It's my
Right.
own brain. I got sickness in my brain that I got to deal with. You know,
Right.
Another guy, I'm not afraid of anybody. I don't care who it is. It's myself. You know, myself has been my biggest opponent. Is myself. You know, and I think you can deal with that. I mean, you know, as a fighter, you have doubts. You doubt yourself.
Yeah.
And, you know, yeah. You got MS. You deal with that, man. I mean, you know exactly. I'm sure you deal with demons.
Yeah.
And it's not demons against somebody else or an opponent. It's demons within yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always think of that, like, you know, that, you know, you can you can cower, or you can, you know, fight, right?
Yeah,
Go
bite down on that mouthpiece and just swing for the fences.
That's it.
Yeah.
Tell me about your military background.
Well, so, man, I was in the Army. I did nothing, dude. I was literally an air conditioner repairman. I was in the 4th Infantry Division. I didn't do much. But when I got out of the Army, I joined this private security firm called Blackwater. And I went over and I was a bodyguard for the United States Ambassador in Iraq for John Negroponte. So I spent some time downrange. And, yeah, man, I worked with Chris Peranto. Who, if anybody knows, there's a movie called 13 Hours. And Chris Peranto and Dave Boone were 2 of the stars in that. And got to work with them. I do CQB instructions. Actually, me and Michael Buell have a weapons course. We teach, you know, shooting instruction, close quarter combat, basic shooting. So yeah, man. Being now that it's COVID out and my gym shut down, me and Michael Buell started a business, and what we're doing is taking first-time fight shooters, housewives, soccer moms, that kind of thing, and we're teaching them how to shoot.
Especially with the craziness going on now, right?
Yeah, crazy, man.
You find the police and all these things.
Yeah.
He's talking about the what is some, like, you talked about PTSD earlier, you know, you mentioned that, like, do you have some issues from like some of those missions that you did over there?
Yeah, you know, obviously seeing guys get blown up and buildings getting blown up, IEDs, car bombs, you know, that kind of missiles coming at you, people shooting at you every day. Yeah, man, it definitely it gets into your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? How is that? How have you dealt?
You know, obviously I like talking to other vets, and that's one of the best things you could do is talk to a vet, at least talk and get it out in the open. And you know, it sounds crazy, but I love watching war movies, man. I love it, and it just you know, other vets don't even want to look at it and talk about it. Me, I'm the opposite. I want to talk about it, and I want to look at the movies. And like I said, 13 Hours is one of my favorite movies, and it's dear to my heart because 2 of the guys that were in there in Benghazi were friends of mine. I think I'm wearing the Benghazi shirt, actually.
Yeah, remember Benghazi.
Yep.
So, does martial arts training, has that helped you as well?
Oh, absolutely. You know, martial arts training, not only does it teach you to use your reflexes, but it teaches you opening your eyes and not just being tunnel vision. You know what I mean? You can see all your surroundings. You know what I mean? And I think that's that anybody knows how to box, kickbox, jiu-jitsu. They're not so tunnel vision. They see the big picture. They see the whole thing. And I think for sure martial arts is something that's made that possible for sure.
Yeah. I was thinking like the PTSD as well, you know, like, you know, you talk about, you know, talking to other vets, but the martial art training, has that helped you kind of deal with things as well?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, in jiu-jitsu, especially, you do a lot of breathing techniques. A lot of people know how to breathe, control your breathing. You'll hear that all the time. Mm-hmm. So not only when you're shooting a gun or if you're doing long distance running, you're doing sprints, you're fighting, or you're training, what are you doing? Control your breathing. If you get out of control, obviously you hyperventilate and it gets worse. Knowing how to control your breathing, being an MMA fighter, knowing how to control your breathing through those rounds, yeah, man, that's a lifesaver for sure.
How did you know, you were talking about all these martial arts and fighting and everything. How did you get into jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu?
Well, first, I mean, I wrestled, man, so I already had a basic for ground fighting. Right. But, you know, I saw the UFC, 1993, Hoist Gracie, this little tiny guy in pajamas. He went out there and he was choking everybody out, hitting these guys with sick arm bars. I had no idea what that was. And I was literally like, I got to learn that. What the heck is that? So I went out and found the jiu-jitsu guys and happened to be RCJ Machado Jiu-Jitsu. And I started training with Carlos.
Where was Carlos living at the time?
Well, that time he was in California, but then he recently, after that, he moved to Dallas, Texas, and that's where I kind of got a hold of him, is in Dallas, Texas. He was doing stunts and stuff like that for Walker, Texas Ranger, and I did 2 episodes on Walker, Texas Ranger, got to meet Chuck Norris, and, you know, obviously all that because of Carlos Machado.
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. You know, I don't know if you heard our podcast, but the fact that I got to, he was the first black belt that I met and the first black belt that I ever trained with, you know? So, and he's done so much for jiu-jitsu, like in the United States, you know, it's a lot of people don't know that, right? Him and his brothers, right?
Right, yeah, 5 brothers.
Yeah, so it's crazy.
Which are the cousins of the Gracies.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when you say Machado Jiu-Jitsu, obviously they learned it under the Gracies. So it's Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, but the Machado flair. Machado, I think they made it more from a self-defense into a sport, and then took it self-defense one more level. So
yeah,
I'm particular to Carlos and his style of Jiu-Jitsu, sure.
Yeah, Carlos Machado, it just the way how he is as a person really resonates with me, you know.
Well, he makes the moves just stupid simple. I mean, you could see a move and then not know how to do it, and then he shows it to you, and you're like, dang, how did I not know this? He makes it too easy, you know. And he makes it for kids or adults or, you know, everybody. He makes it very easy for everybody.
Shannon, you've fought hundreds of fights, and you're still fighting. Do you feel you reach your potential in the fight game?
No, man. I don't think whoever you are, you're never at your potential because you're always doubting yourself and you think you could do better. I'm almost 50 years old. I think I'm probably one of the toughest 50-year-olds out there.
No doubt.
I guarantee that. Lately, you know, I've been fighting guys 25, 26 years old. I could be their dad, but I still give it a go. You know, if there's promoters out there that want me to fight, call me, man, because I'm gonna come out and fight. I'm not gonna quit yet.
How do you see yourself stopping, or how do you see yourself finishing, you know, riding out into the sunset in your fight career?
I don't think I'm ever going to retire. I think what's going to happen is promoters will just stop calling me one day. You know, I'm never just going to straight out say, hey, man, I quit, I retired, because, you know, rehab's for quitters, and I'm not going to go to rehab. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. You know, you talk about jiu-jitsu and just you're competing in jiu-jitsu as well now, right?
Absolutely, man. I go out to the world, no gi, it doesn't matter. Yeah. You know, I'll grapple anybody.
What do you see? What's the difference between, what do you feel? You know, what's the difference of how you feel in jiu-jitsu matches versus like a fight, you know, MMA, boxing?
An MMA fight is, you know, you're getting punched in the head and you got to deal with all the strikes. In jiu-jitsu, man, you're just out wrestling. So I feel there's more, it's more pure to do jiu-jitsu than it is to fight, because I believe anybody can throw a punch and hit somebody and knock them out. But in jiu-jitsu, you actually have to know what you're doing to catch a guy. You know what I mean? It's more technical to me. And you know, anybody can knock somebody out. Anybody 200 pounds, punch a guy in the chin, and knock him out. But take that same guy, get him on the ground, and make him submit, and you're making him say, "I give up." To me, that's more honorable.
Yeah,
that's just me, though.
Smart, using your brain, right? Using your brain.
Oh, it's a chess match. Absolutely, it's a chess match. So yeah, it's like who's better, you know. I've been doing it a long time.
I feel like in the combat, you know, I guess arena, I think of jiu-jitsu, and then I think of bare-knuckle boxing, and you've gone all across the ranges. So
put it this way, I'm at the highest pinnacle of each sport. You know, the highest you can do in jiu-jitsu at Worlds, the highest you can in bare-knuckle boxing, the highest you can at MMA. So yeah, I feel like I'm definitely there with some other world champions.
How did you get involved in the bare-knuckle boxing? How did that happen?
Well, see, I've been doing bare-knuckle for a long time. Obviously, it was illegal for a long time, and then it recently, within the last 5 years, got legal. Going over to London, fighting at the O2 Arena, fighting for BKB, and then obviously fighting for BKFC. You know, there was a lot of underground fights that obviously were illegal, and so now it's legal. We're getting paid. We're sanctioned. We have a commission, and we have the Bare-Knuckle Boxing Hall of Fame behind it. So yeah, man, it's a legit sport, and I think that sport's gonna blow up. Now, as soon as more people find out about bare-knuckle boxing, to me, that's the truest form of striking, hands down.
What do you like about, you know, you're saying it's the purest, you know, as far as like straight fighting, right? It's the purest.
That's absolutely right. It's pure.
If you watch, Fight Club or any of these movies, right? That's like the purest of fighting, right? The bare knuckle
Sure.
boxing.
That's right.
What do you appreciate about the bare knuckle boxing? What do you appreciate about it?
To me, about bare knuckle boxing is technical. You have to be a technical boxer to know how to hit, when to hit, where to hit. Anybody with a glove can swing, and you're going to swing hard as you can, and you're not going to break your hand. You fight bare knuckle, you have to be precision boxing, because if you throw the wrong punch at the wrong time, you're going to hit their elbow, you're going to hit their forehead, you're going to break your hand. Obviously, to me, you got to be more technical being a bare knuckle boxer than you are just a brawler.
Yeah.
And bare knuckle boxing is the closest thing that you can get to street fighting. I mean, literally. So, I mean, if it wasn't for a referee, it would be a street fight.
Yeah. So the rules are, if you knock the guy down, you have just like a boxing fight, right? You have a standing, you have a eight count.
Yeah. So you actually have 10 seconds to get up.
10 seconds,
10 seconds to get up. And it's a 2-minute round instead of a 3-minute round. And you're allowed to take a knee as many times as you want. And then in boxing, you keep taking a knee 3 times in a round, you're done. In bare knuckle boxing, you could take a knee 5, 10 times or whatever, but you're going to start getting points. So.
I look at these, some guys that have fought in the UFC and guys that have fought for a while, and I see them kind of going into bare knuckle boxing now. And I think of like the brain damage, just like going through some of the brain stuff for myself, What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't know. Brain damage to me is when you're sitting there taking punch and blow after blow after blow after blow. If you're good, you're not getting hit, I've been in bare knuckle fights actually and then never really even get hit. In bare knuckle boxing, 1 or 2 good shots, you're going to be knocked out. 1 or 2 good shots, the referee's going to stop the fight. In boxing with gloves, you take 100 punches to the head in 1 round, and that's where you get the brain damage. So it's like in MMA. You get hit clean 3, 4, 5 times, and you're not defending yourself. Referee steps in and saves your life. So, yeah, man, I don't know. It's part of the sport, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so your background's so interesting. Tell me about your golf. You mentioned golf. Man. I read your bio to my friend, and he's like, golf. His eyebrows came up.
So look, man. Instead of hitting people in the face, I'm hitting in fairways, man. I'm gonna be 50 in September. I want to get on to start playing PGA qualifiers for the senior tour, which is it's called the Champions Tour. I don't know if I'll ever make the cut, but at least I'll be a pro golfer, and I'll be playing professional. I'll get sponsors, and I'll be making money playing golf. I'm a scratch golfer. I'll go out and play anybody, anywhere, anytime. Same thing. I love golf. I want to claim that I'm the best MMA golfer there is. And if anybody ever wants to challenge me in a golf game, the 500 club's right down the street. We'll go play. I'm number 1 in the VGA, which is the Veterans Golf Association. Number 1 in Arizona. I've won 6 tournaments playing for the Veterans Golf Association. And next up is the PGA qualifiers, man.
Nice. What do you have do you have any other hobbies that I know you fight every weekend. You've been fighting every weekend for as long as I've known you.
And just shoot. I like shooting, playing golf. Love movies, man. I'm a huge movie buff. Anytime I get a chance to go to the beach with my wife, me and my wife are at the beach. Love sun tanning. Love holding hands, walking on the beach, looking at the sunset. That kind of stuff.
Right on, man. Who are you grateful for in your martial arts journey?
Well, obviously, hands down, Carlos Machado, Michael Buell. There's been a handful of guys. Oleg Taktarov has come out and trained with me. Boss Rudin, Mario Sperry. I hold my hats off to like Dan Severn, Don Fry, guys that have fought in the early UFCs. Ken Shamrock, obviously Ken Shamrock. A good buddy of mine, Zane Frazier. He fought in UFC 1. He's helped me out with some footwork, stuff like that. It's pretty much it. Pretty much the guys.
There's a lot of guys, right, to thank.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are there any things that, not regrets, but anything you could have done different or you would like to have done different in your fight career?
Yeah, I would have liked to fight in the UFC. I mean, there was one time where me and Pat Miletich got into it, and a guy by the name of Joe Silva, who ended up becoming the UFC matchmaker, got in our way, and I kind of pushed him a little bit, and maybe I shouldn't have done that because he told me at that point I'd never fight in the UFC again. or I'd have never fight in the UFC. Let's put it that way. I mean, I've been good enough to fight on the main event in Pride, K1, Strike Force, King of the Cage, Rage in the Cage, Extreme Challenge, Super Brawl, Rumble in the Rock. You name it, I've probably been the main event or co-main event in 100 fights. And the UFC won't even let me be in the damn undercard. So that to me burns me. Even though Dana White said, "Hey, you're a bad man." He tells me, he knows who I am, and we've talked. But obviously, I'm too old now. They don't want an old guy coming in fighting in the UFC. But I mean, if I could get one UFC fight on the undercard, that would make all my MMA dreams come true.
They have a lot of master fights right now, right? Happening.
Yeah.
You think you're the top? You think you're the top master division fighter?
I believe I'm definitely in the top 10. I'll tell you that. I'm definitely in the top 10. Enough to compete, absolutely.
Like Pat Miletich or I guess Renzo Gracie and.
Yeah, I'm talking Nogueira, any of these guys, man. I'll go out there and fight those guys. Tito Ortiz, Chuck Liddell. Put them in the ring with me. I'm ready.
Tito Ortiz.
Any of those guys, man. I don't care. We'll rock and roll. I see Nogueira out there fighting. I think he needs to give it up.
Yeah. Did you ever fight in Brazil?
Never got a chance to fight in Brazil, man. I fought a lot of guys from Brazil, but I never got a chance to fight in Brazil. That'd be a dream come true as well.
Yeah, you fought all over Asia, all over Europe, right? And
all over Japan, Russia, China, Canada, Mexico, Puerto Rico. I'm probably everywhere in the United States, all over Asia. Yeah, man, I've been everywhere except Australia and Brazil, pretty much.
Wow, man, it's crazy, from the times that I've known you. You're the guy that they call, right? Like, hey, Shannon, he's down. He'll fight, anywhere, anytime.
Literally, I've saved the main event for 50, 60 fights, and I was the main event. I was the main event, and saved the shows. They call me last minute, even like 8-hour notice. Hey, Shannon, can you fight? Yeah, man, I'll be there, and I'll just show up and fight. Win, lose, or draw. I didn't even know who I'm fighting. One time I fought this crazy guy in Holland with an 8-hour notice. I literally had enough time to get on a plane, fly to Amsterdam, get off the plane, and go to the venue. And I'm fighting some guy from Brazil named Cacareco. Cacareco had won 8 bare-knuckle 16-man tournaments. The guy was a phenom. And I stepped up and fought. I didn't care. I'll fight anybody. Hey, man, Shannon, what's your favorite knockout? Oh, you know what? Let me answer that question. One time I fought this guy named John Wood, and dude was running his mouth. And I threw a lead leg hook kick and knocked him out in 15 seconds in the first round. You guys look up, Google. Seriously, go to Google and put MMA super kick. MMA super kick.
MMA super knockout. Kick.
Yeah, best knockout in MMA history.
John, what was his name? John what?
John Big Wood.
Big Wood.
Yeah, he retired after that fight, and he literally is coaching UFC fighters now.
Where is he? What city is he?
He's in Vegas. He's in Las Vegas.
Nice. I want to post your bare-knuckle fight as well.
Okay, yeah, post that, man.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah. Awesome,
all right.
man. You're a legend, man. You're a legend. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for hanging out. It was really good to know more about you. I've seen you around for so many years. So to kind of talk to you a little bit more, it's a big honor. So.
Well, I feel the same way, Alberto. I was watching your career, man. I was one of your biggest fans. I always loved the guys from New Mexico. You guys are all super tough. It's awesome to be here talking to you and get to know you better too, man. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. I hope to see you soon in person when all this
Absolutely.
stuff is crazy.
Hey, like I said, man, I like to bring you out to CannonBJJ.net. Have you come out to Arizona and put on a seminar? Let's get the COVID finished and get the gyms back open for everybody, and then I'll try to bring you out.
That's it. Looking forward, brother. Looking forward.
All right, my man. Have a good one, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.